Hey, thanks everyone for joining us this evening for the Shelterly New Features live webinar. This slide just is a good reminder of some of the events and opportunities and training materials that we have out there. So don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. We do have brand new step-by-step training guides that we put up on shelterly.org. Upcoming in June is the next virtual quick start exercise, a great opportunity to refresh your skills during the beginning of the fire season here. That's an ongoing series that allows folks to receive some homework, hop into the system, play around, and then towards the end of that exercise, come back together as a group and ask questions. And Angie runs that for us. And then obviously, we always have our newsletter as a great opportunity for any new updates. As they come out through the application and anything else that we just want to share with y'all. So be sure to sign up for the newsletter. As for the new features, there's three new features I want to talk about this evening, and we're going to start with one of the upgrades that we've made to one of our search tools. As always, these are not all of the new features. Within Shelterly, we add many, many new features each and every month. We just try to highlight some of the more important and more impactful ones for each of your groups. And so inside of here, we have some additions to the animal search functionality. So in here, this is going to show us a list of all of our animals, which has always been a helpful tool. In the upper right-hand corner, you can see in this button how many total results you currently have, and download all of their animal care schedules if that's something you're interested in doing. But additionally, there's this little advanced drop down. Now, this has been here for a while, but we've done some tweaks in the last 2 months or so. Specifically, we've added a bunch of new filters, which allows you to ask more and more complex questions, as well as allowing you to filter for more than one of the same type. And what do I mean by that? I mean, historically, you used to be able to only select cat, but now you can search for all of the cats and dogs across your incident. And so that's a unique new piece of what this page allows you to do and allows you to ask, again, more complex queries. So I'm going to hit apply here. And as we look up here, we had 128. Now we're down to 62 animals. So this is telling us 62 of our animals in this incident are either a cat or a dog. Now we kind of continue down that same pathway and we say, hey, but I actually want to find out how many unowned animals there are because I'm concerned about reunification. So there's an owned box here and you say no. We're going to click apply again. And now we're down to 6. And so you can see how quickly we are able to tell how many of a specific category, in this case being unowned, and of a specific set of species, cat and dogs, are currently in our system. One other example that I want to give is just using the status filter as well. You can say, hey, how many sheltered in place animals do we have? Apply that, which is great. And you can quickly see that we have 9 animals that we're actively taking care of in the field. So there's probably about 1,000 different combinations of how you can use these filters, but think through how you might want to slice and dice your data. It allows you to really, really get a good, clear picture of which animals and how many meet your criteria of anything that you might be interested in. The next one that we want to cover is a new workflow that we have related to the ability to return animals. So this is not always the case, and actually, I'm going to grab a sheltered animal because that's where this all starts from. So here we have Nico. Now, Nico is an owned animal, and it came in originally on a service request, which is great. And in this case, we have this sheltered animal. This workflow supports, and not all organizations do support this as something that they offer to their community, but the idea being that, hey, this animal was brought to us, we either went and got it, or maybe Omar brought this animal himself to us, but now he needs assistance returning the animal back to his location. And so inside the action menu, there's a change animal status button. This is how you can change the animal status to a variety of different things. Obviously, we have some endpoints of reunited, which would be great, but in this case, Omar needs a little bit of help reuniting his animal, so we go transport requested. This workflow then shows you that, hey, this animal is already associated to a service request. Would you like to just reopen that service request and mark this animal as transport requested? If that's true, in most cases, you're going to return the animal. You can also think of the case where, like, oh, we actually need to transfer them to a foster facility that's going to be out of our community. You would select enter a custom address. But in this case, we're just going to say, yep, that looks great. We just want to reopen that service request and instead place this animal on there and say, hey, it needs to go back. Instead of sending somebody there to get the animal, this will tell our field teams that they need to go get the animal from this shelter and take it back to this location. And then you'll click yes, and you can see its status is now transport requested. If you hop into the field side of the module, this service request would now show up as open. If I click in here, we'll see this one was actually already assigned. And so that's kind of a helpful and interesting one. So we can see there's actually two dogs that had transport requested, which makes a lot of sense. And then we have these two remaining dogs that are not. So in this case, Maple and Nico are already being returned by Brian Bray down here, who's doing that active field assignment, which looks really, really good. The last thing that I want to talk about during this webinar is the pre-registration updates. So for those not familiar, pre-registration is one of your management tools inside of Shelterly. So you have to be one of your admins within your organization currently. So if you go to manage organization and you have this manage pre-registered owners field. So inside here, what these represent are all of the owners and animals that you've entered into the system across time. So this was added about 6 months ago, and that as you added a new service request or you intook a new animal, it would automatically pre-register your animals. Now, historically, that was the only way to get animals or owners into this part of the platform. And so what we've introduced in the last month is the ability to do these manually outside of an incident specific. And so I'll walk through an example. So we have over here this actions menu. We can add a new pre-registered owner. So we're going to have Traven Smith here with a phone number. And this form should look very, very familiar. This is the same owner information that we capture during a hotline or an intake. Start to put in an address here. I'm going to grab this address because I'm going to use it later to show you how pre-registration works once this animal information is entered. And I'm going to click that this one's for training so that I don't mess up any of my operational data. Add pre-registered owner. And so now we have this Trevin Smith, and he has no animals yet. Well, again, we've got a nice action menu here, and we can add an animal. Now, this page, again, should look really, really familiar because this is the same animal page that we see in the rest of the Shelter platform. So I'm going to add a bearded dragon. Beardy the bearded dragon, obviously. Nice medium size, probably green, and then I'm going to guess green again. Bearded dragon with at least a 5 o'clock shadow. I think that seems reasonable. It's going to be male, an adult one. The rest of this information, I'm not a bearded dragon expert, so I might skip a bit of it, but anywhere in here you can add all these notes. And the reason I'm adding the notes is I want to show you that these get carried forward. So the more work that you do now, the better off you're going to be because you don't have to gather this information additionally later down the road. So green lizard, like animal, very friendly, and loves crickets. That seems like a thing that they would eat. Then we can come down here and click save. And now I've added Beardy, the bearded dragon. So now I want to show you what that looks like. So again, I'm going to grab this address. This was a training one. So this owner will only show up when you are working within a training incident. So I'm going to back out all the way to incidents. I'm going to hop into this one, which is a training one because of this little T. And as I go to make a hotline call, I'm going to say owner calling. I'm going to put that address there. And what it does is it says, hey, are there any matching service requests? Nope, we haven't gone there yet. But nicely, we're able to see that we have a matching owner because this information's already been entered. And here we can see he has one animal. So we say, oh, hey, is this Trevin? Oh, awesome. Let's hop into your animals. Are you calling about us getting Beardy out for you? Yep, looks great. If I hover over this, you can see that information's already been carried into Hotline. So I'm going to say, yep, that's the animal that I want. Next step. Here's where we can confirm or update any of the owner information. So any of these times, these kind of start out grayed, but you can always put it into edit mode, which allows you to update that information. If you update it here, it'll actually go back and update the pre-registration as well. So that's a really nice factor. So in this case, we're going to add his email here, which is great. We'll go next step. Here's Beardy. Any additional information we need? Oh, actually, yeah. He's had some medical concerns since last time. Currently taking a sodium supplement. And now we have a nice little medical note there. Oops. that we can add to it. And again, that'll go back and update the historical record. Coming through here, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, that looks really great. We're going to go finish and create. So now you can see with very little typing, and that was only the additional information, I now have an owner, a service request, and that animal. And I'm going to hop into this animal so we can see. In fact, here's all the notes. And so I didn't type any of these because they were brought in from that pre-registered record. So very, very helpful tool, works both ways. So if I go back into this pre-registration, which I'm going to hop back out and show you that that data was actually updated automatically in the pre-registration. So here I have to hop over to training. Wrong thing. I need to look for his name. We're going to go into owner details. Here's him with his brand new email, which was entered during the hotline process, updated backwards. And then if we hop into Beardy, we can see that his medical note was also added. So now, if you were ever to work with this animal again moving forward, you would already have these notes attached. So a pretty powerful tool, really useful for organizations to go out and start engaging their communities. On the horizon, surrounding or related to this functionality is the idea that as you're entering this, these are actually mapped out data. So this is what we would call geospatial data, which is really important. So if I hop back here, we now have an owner with an address. And as you gather more and more of this, what we're going to add from a tooling perspective is the ability to start visualizing all of your pre-registrations on a map, thinking that in combination with the animal filters that I showed you in the first feature, we're going to be able to make you able to slice and dice your pre-registration data and view it across your entire community, which makes it not only a planning tool, but also a response tool. So we're working in Shelterly as a combination to provide access to planning as well. Think of it of like, hey, I want to see where all the large animals are that we have pre-registered. That's a great way to figure out where you may want to stage a trailer or a set of food or whatever it might be versus in LA, we had a lot of koi fish. If we had known that, that would have been really interesting to know where that geographic spread was. So when I'm building my teams to do response, I need to make sure that I have a component that is prepared to deal with some of those exotics that might be in your community. So again, none of this is required. It happens automatically if you're just using Shelterly in its normal fashion. But if this is something that your community wants to invest in, it's going to become a very, very powerful tool for you down the road, and makes it so that you're going to be even more prepared for your response. So those are the three things that I wanted to talk through with everyone. As we're closing out here, just again, a couple quick reminders. We do have the YouTube channel. This video is going to be posted onto our YouTube channel. Our training step-by-step guides, fantastic. Those are being maintained as new releases come out. So it's always your go-to location for figuring out how do I use Shelterly. And towards the bottom, there's some great sections from our community members and a lot of our supporters of like best practices are kind of involved in there as well. So if you're thinking about how should I use Shelterly, not just what do I do, but how should I use it, that's included in those training guidelines. Please do sign up for the June 2026 virtual quick start exercise. We have limited seating. We do cap that out because there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done in preparation. But that work is what makes that exercise so valuable to you as a participant. So please sign up to that early, to make sure that you have a spot. And then always remember, sign up to our newsletter so you can always get the best updates for us as Shelterly continues to grow and support the animal response community. All right, thanks everyone. You guys have a good time, and I'll see you in 2 months or so. Bye.